In these life-serving podcasts, Bhashkar Perinchery answers questions from everyone seeking pragmatic and effective solutions regarding emotional and energetic challenges, holistic health, and the inner journey.
Any questions or anything to say, express in those who are participating from here or participating from elsewhere? If anything is there which is occupying you, which is there as a question, which has some unclarity, and you have the feeling to bring it up and look into it more and clear it, this is one of the possibilities.
Do you have any question? Questions can be asked over Spotify or can be sent as voice message over the podcast webpage.
If nothing is there, I would like to bring your attention to some essential factors. What we are doing here? What is the sense of these meetings and seminars and workshops and individual meetings? What is happening? What is being done? For me, it is very simple. I have come to recognize that the innermost reality in everyone is of joy. And all what is attempted here is to bring your attention also to this source in you. Because once you are ongoingly in touch with this basic source in you, then you can connect to the world, connect to the game of the duality in a different way. Otherwise, you are so much occupied, preoccupied, and often entangled in that what is seen from an inner distance, more like the nature of a game. It is not a game what we can just categorize like that and fix it and judge it that way. But when you have an inner rootedness in your essential nature, with that distance, with that state of non-entanglement in any identification, you see that this world, this what we call normality, reality, is like a dream. Because you come with nothing and you go without anything which you can take with. And all your achievements, all your failures in this dimension is like that what you have experienced in certain dreams. In some dreams you have very beautiful things you collect and achieve and hold. But when you wake up, you see it is not there. And it's the same with all the nightmares. So it is very important to get familiar with this essential nature of our reality. One of the first books which I was bringing out exactly had this title, The Secret of Ecstatic Living, Vihap. It is not just by the way that we have put that title. It is with great consideration, because when you are understanding in what way nature is manifesting in us and through us, you also have the clue and you also have a certain kind of inner freedom to see that I don't need to settle in misery. I don't need to settle in suffering. As part of the involvement in the dualistic process of life, there are physical pains, there are mental pains, there are emotional pains. But these pains need not become an ongoing suffering when you understand it rightly, when you see it with the right inner distance. It is becoming so difficult for most to see that, not because it is in itself difficult. It is because you are so habituated to focus on the outside, to look at the other, to go on judging and comparing and competing and labeling, putting yourself superior or inferior, putting yourself in a box, putting others in a box. And this is almost like an addictive behavior. So now you can understand why I am often saying that behind all the addictions, the real addiction is the addiction to the ego. Ego is this idea of the I, whom you have collected, mostly unconsciously, and with which you are identifying and believing that is me. Until you question it, till you reconsider it, till you start becoming alert about this, in all your interactions you are acting on the basis of this hypnotic belief which you have collected, which now some of the psychologists also are saying people are acting 95% with this 95% of the part in them which is based on the unconscious conditioning. And this is what is very important when you can see that and realize it. Because once you see it very carefully and clearly now, in this moment when we are talking about it, then you can also see the urgency to go beyond it. Then you can also see how important it is for your authentic living and to live a life of joy and freedom, of love and clarity. This basic step has to be realized. And it is not really anything more than bringing your attention also to that what is taking place undercurrently in you. Jeffrey was sending me a very interesting cartoon of a dog tied to a pole and is bound to it, and a human being tied to his hand with his wire, and so they have put these things together. It's interesting, and I was also mentioning to him that the real problem is our unconscious identification and the addictive behavior. You can understand it logically and you may agree with me, but that's not enough. It's not a question of agreeing and disagreeing. If you see the sense behind it, bring the attention to it so that you are not ongoingly trapped, unconsciously pulled into this unhealthy, unfulfilling, unintelligent entanglement. It is not out of your clarity and intelligence that you are in that role. It's part of the conditioning. And you have to again understand it, although I have spoken many times about it. The child requires an ego in the beginning. So it is not that there is something which has gone wrong with you, but something which you have to grow into or grow beyond is when your capacity of consciousness is there, you have to take the initiative to question Who am I really? What is my reality? Let me experience it. And that becomes possible only when you see that in the normal way of going, you are reacting on the basis of your conditioned idea of who you are and what you are, and all that knowledge what is accumulated in that level. So as you can see it, and if you can allow the urgency of it to touch you, to reach you, and you can also observe what all strategies are there to shake it away. What you have heard often being said as the PADS, the Program of Automatic Defense System. Again, this is an aspect which for the child is a help to survive, and for a human being who wants to grow, to flower, it is a barrier. It is just like in the case of the butterfly. For a caterpillar, which is crawling, which is having a limitation of its own, that way of moving and going around and the limitation is okay. But when the caterpillar goes through the period of the cocoon, where it encloses itself and allows a transformatory process to happen, then its life is different. It's coming out as a colored wing, a butterfly which is capable of flying, a different dimension of reality, a different quality of being in the game. In a poetic sense, this is our reality, because we as human beings need to become aware of the conditioning, its limitation, and the need to go beyond it. And that can happen only when deep within you recognize this factor and also decide to consequently bring the awareness from moment to moment, from situation to situation, to that what is taking place undercurrently in you. It is not a fight against any part in you. It is not to force anything. It is not a heavy, serious approach what is required. All you require is your sincerity and your energetic participation to remember as deeply as you can, together with a quality of playfulness. Because you have to remember that it's not becoming a fight. Because the moment you start fighting, you are already trapped in the game. Because you are identified with some idea of yourself. It doesn't matter what idea. Just the idea that I'm separate. And from that you are trying to change something. But what is required is not trying to change yourself, but being present so that there is a insight and understanding of that what you are happening to you. And from this state of presence and perception, you answer to that what comes from the outside, enabling your intelligence, enabling an inclusive perception of the reality. When you are only looking from your conditioned way of looking, you see the situation in one way. But when you get a distance and also include what way the other is experiencing it, other is seeing it, then suddenly you are not trapped in your perception. You are also able to see that there is more factors involved in it. And then you can act out of your intelligence, act out of the sensibility of your heart. And you can take steps which are valuable for you and the other. It is not against you, but it is not just following a fixed idea of who you are and what you are. And that is what makes all the difference. So become aware of your potential, your chance, but also your responsibility and the need to be consequent and persistent, perseverance, resilience. Without that, when things are happening a little different, a little disturbance, and you run back to the old way of reacting, because it's convenient, it comes automatically. And be aware of it. It is easier said than done. It is clear. I'm aware of it when I'm speaking about it. Because the tendency to react automatically happens without any effort from your side. You are automatically pulled into that. Your energy is getting dragged into it. But not to follow it blindly, and especially not to also fight against it blindly, and just to be present without taking any sides, without struggling in any way. And watching all the tendencies, including the tendency to fight, the tendency to struggle, the tendency to interfere and change, but not identifying. This is challenging. But that is also the delicate step which you need to bring into remembrance. It is a question of remembering. And through this remembrance, what happens in you is that you start becoming aware of the wondrous nature of your reality, of the sacred nature of your reality. And you're being part of this sacred, wondrous process of nature. And all the support, all the care which life is showering so that you can be here. Normally we are taking it all for granted and we don't even consider it, how much support is there, how much care is there. But the more you consider, the more it becomes transparent to you, the more you realize what a blessing, what a luck, what an ungraspable care, what is happening in this manifest life process. That is when spontaneously a quality of gratitude and joy arises, because you are not in any fighting, habitual reaction process. You are in touch with the reality. This is your individual responsibility. Nobody else can do it for you. When I speak about it, I'm just reminding you. It is not anything somebody else has to give to you. But because you are going about almost in a state of intoxication, almost in an approach of being trapped in addiction, this kind of reminders, this kind of getting touched can be valuable. That is what is happening. It is not that I am giving you new information and that you are becoming more knowledgeable. No. I am reminding you to disentangle from the habit of being trapped in a one-sided way of perceiving life, in a blindly outward way of going about life, into connecting to yourself, to including that what is taking place within you. And you are becoming truly authentic, that is all. You are becoming truly yourself. And in being truly yourself, you experience the clarity, the freedom. Again, remember, I am not asking you to manage an idea of clarity and manage an idea of freedom and try to bring it and say that, oh, now I have it. No, then it is not something which you have to put on yourself and put it as a goal to achieve. These are factors which take place like a byproduct when you are not holding in this addictive way to the belief that you are separate from the whole. So for that, you have to become alert about the way you are identifying with the body, with the personality. Just today I was speaking with one friend. Suddenly he found himself in a state of being affected by cancer in the throat area, and his life quality, his life perception has changed. I told him on one side it looks like something sad, something which one does not want that anybody is getting it. But on the other side, when it's coming on your way, don't get trapped in the automatic way of reacting and labeling as if it is a curse, as if it is something which should not have happened to you. Accept this gracefully. And when you are not going into the fighting approach and you are taking it in a wakeful way, then you see that perhaps it is exactly what helps you to go deeper. And I told him that look at the pain, look at all that what is happening in the body and as a reaction which is taking place in you without identifying with it. He said, yes, he is trying to do that, but it is not easy. I said, yes, exactly, it is not easy. But that is the orientation which is valuable. That is what will make the difference. He is a person who has been also working on himself in some way from different background. So I used to meet him often here and there. So he could get the clue, and I will be meeting him further. It is something very, very basic. We are used to judging everything and categorizing it in the habitual way of calling it good or bad, right or wrong. But when we are allowing ourselves to consider it, look at it without this usual unconscious and blind way of judging and labeling, we start getting a different insight into the reality. We start getting a different understanding and experience of the reality. And then you see that whatever life is bringing its way, after having taken care to do the best what you can do, and if you can accept life with that what it brings, you will realize it is not against you. It is something to learn through, to ripen through, to grow through, to flower through. So bring your attention to that what is really taking place in you, each moment, in each encounter, in each situation, whether you are alone or with somebody else. Not only when you are interacting with somebody, but also when you are with yourself, not having anything to do. Are you seeking engagement? Are you using the media and cell phone and things which you have in your disposal to engage yourself? Or are you aware that it can become a blind distraction and engagement? So you have to be present to use it when it is relevant, intelligent, and not go blindly with it. And this is the responsibility we have towards ourselves when we want to get clear. We have a tremendous potential. We have the capacity to live in joy because it is our innermost nature. But often we are far away from it, not because it is far away from us, but because we are entangling ourselves, letting ourselves get overtaken by the inner automatism and letting the life energy get trapped in it. When you bring the attention to that what is taking place in you, not identify with one part or the other part, then your life energy is also not trapped in anything. This is one of the very subtle factors which makes it possible for us to become free. Understand this possibility, recognize the urgency, bring it into living, and live the life as a blessed one. Because when you understand rightly, you will see that you are blessed. You are unique. You don't need to compare yourself with anybody. But without the right understanding, we are going on blindly, unconsciously. So that is why this reminder, when I speak about it, I'm not saying something totally new. It is new because you forget it. It is new because you don't recognize the interconnected factors involved in it. But the more you see, the more it becomes conscious and clear to you, the more you realize it is your home. It is where you can rest without having to get lost in blind reactions. So that much I want to bring into your attention this evening.
A lot more questions to be answered. Right after this, you are listening to the Life Surfing Podcast on Spotify. Welcome back to the Life Surfing Podcast. We continue with some more questions.
If any questions are there still in anyone who is participating from here or elsewhere, you can still take some moments to consider it, look into it. If nothing is there, we stay the next half hour wakefully present to all what is there without identifying with anything, not trying to change anything. And as I have been reminding some of you that we will not call it silent sitting, we call it a space to allow silence. Because when you say silent sitting, you still think you have to maybe be silent, you have to manage the silence somehow. I said, no, it's just allowing silence. That means you become simply present. You be here, you be wakeful. Don't interfere, don't identify. And in this way, with the inner wakefulness and presence with closed eyes, we sit the next half hour.
You can sit the next half an hour and put yourself a timer for that. The Life Surfing Podcast will be back next week.